Hi guys, and welcome back to Sheddy's Kitchen. I'm Sheddy. Today we're making a very unique dish. It's a mushroom curry inspired by my mum. It's both vegan friendly and very low in calories, so perfect for you slimmers out there. It goes perfectly well with our chapattis as well. So are you ready? Let's get cooking. You're going to need 300 ml of sunflower oil, $400 of chopped onions, you just roughly chop them, one teaspoon of red chili powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, which is known as haldi, one and a quarter teaspoon of cooking salt. We're not putting more than that, it gets quite salty as well, so 1 1/4 teaspoon is an exact amount. Seven chopped cloves of garlic, so you can see again we've just chopped them into quarters, so you need 7 cloves in total. Five medium-sized tomatoes that have been again roughly chopped. Two teaspoons of red chili flakes, two teaspoons of dry coriander powder, three green chilies which we've sliced lengthways in half, you'll need approximately 1300 grams of mushrooms. Now we're using closed cup mushrooms. I'll show you the packet we've got them from. You just need to really chop them into probably sixths here. So we've chopped them down here into small pieces. Doesn't matter how small you go really, but we tend to go for something around about this size. You can see, so that's cut down to approximately about a sixth or so. And I'll show you the packet that's come from. So we're using these over here. So these are the ones that we're using, doesn't matter, the closed cup ones. Finally, you're going to need 20 grams of fresh coriander as well. What I would advise you to do in this recipe is, as always, just keep a tiny bit of water spare for the cooking process. You might need to add a tiny bit over time. So the first thing is to get yourself a nice big saucepan, and let's get this onto a high heat. Okay, we've got that onto a nice high heat now, and to that we're going to add our sunflower oil and let that warm up. We'll just give that no more than about, I reckon, a minute or so to warm up before we add the onions. You'll know your oil's ready when you start seeing little tiny bubbles coming up to the surface, so just keep an eye on that. If you're worried about how to know that, you'll just see, don't let it bubble over completely, just a few little bubbles coming up to the surface. I can see that happening now, so I'm going to go ahead and add the onions to that. So I'm going to add the onions to the oil, and now give it a little stir so that I'm covering the onions in the oil. I'm going to allow these onions now to brown. It'll probably take about 4 to 5 minutes or so. So I'll come back to these and just keep giving them a stir so they're not sticking. But we'll leave them now to brown and stir it every minute or so. So I'll come back to you in about 5 minutes time, and we'll continue once the onions are browned. So you see the onions are browned nicely now. Time to add the next part of the ingredients, and they are some of our spices. So to this we need to add 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. This is healthy. I always use a different spoon for that because it stains really badly. Try not to get it onto your clothes. And 1¼ teaspoon of your cooking salt. So 1 and 1/4 in for good measure over there. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water to that, just a little bit so it doesn't stick. That's it. And I'm going to give that a mix, mixing them spices with the onions and the oil. And then just mix that, let that cook a tiny bit for about a minute or so, a bit longer than that, before we add the next ingredient. It's been a minute or so, so we're going to add the next ingredient, and that's going to be your garlic cloves. So we'll just pop the garlic cloves into there, give it a good mix again for about a minute more before I add the next ingredient. Allow the garlic seeds to soften a bit in there. When we add the tomatoes as our next ingredient, that will reintroduce quite a lot of water into there. So I'm not too worried about adding water at the moment. I see there's a fair bit of liquid in there already. The tomatoes should reintroduce that water. Okay, so let's add the tomatoes to that now. Give that a mix. And you can see a lot of water has come out of the tomatoes at the moment already. That's absolutely fine. Give it a real mix. What we're trying to do over here is just get the tomatoes quite mushy in there. And they are losing the structure now. They were quite hard before, they're softening up. I want them quite mushy. I want it to look like a bit of a mush in here before we continue with what we're doing. I think it's reduced down a fair bit now with the water, and you see the tomatoes are quite mushy in there. So what we're going to do now is we'll add the next 3 ingredients. So you're going to need 2 of your teaspoons of the red chili flakes, Don't always use red chili flakes in our dishes, very limited ones that we use them in. This is one of the two that we've covered so far where we're adding red chili flakes. 2 teaspoons of your dry coriander powder. There you go. And the green chilies that we sliced lengthways, I'll pop them in to there as well. Give that a good mix. Now, keep an eye on the liquid not reducing now too far. You don't want it sticking to the bottom. Give that a real mix. If it gets overly sticky, just add a dash of water in. Not too much though in this case. With this particular curry, we don't want a huge amount of water in there at the end. It'll be a relatively drier curry, covered with these lovely flavours. Slight thickening at the bottom, so I'll add a tiny bit of water to this. Just a tiny bit. And give it a mix then. There you go. Starting to loosen from the bottom nicely. I always advise that you open any windows or get your extractor on, because these smells are very, very concentrated. So I've added a tiny bit of more water to this just to make sure that we're going to introduce the mushrooms now, so we're able to coat them mushrooms up. You can see there's a fair bit more liquid in there. We literally added a splash of water in there, so you're aware of why it looks like there's more liquid in there. To this now, I'm going to add the mushrooms. We're going to start coating and mixing that, and I'll let you know how long you need to leave the mushrooms in there for. Quite a lot of mushrooms, that's 1300 grams there. You can see it's gone straight up to the pan, hence why we needed a larger pan for this. I'll really mix that in and give that time. I can really mix it in. Get down to the bottom, stir it and turn it. And that's why we added the extra water in, because you can see how dry the mushrooms are. This curry dish is not going to be full of liquid, it's going to be coated in these lovely flavours. There we go, just turn it, take it to the top, keep doing that. Really coat these. I'm not showing you with them flavours. Here we go. Now we're nearly there, nearly all covered. Really get stuck in and turn them and distribute them. Herbs and spices all around these. I'm going to leave that now for a while, and we'll come back to it and we'll have a look at how it gets on. I'll leave it a few minutes yet, then we'll review where we're up to. Right, so it's been about 2 minutes now, and what we've done is we've added just a tiny bit of water in there because it was sticking, so just a little dash of water you need to add into there. You can see that water bubbling to the surface. We're going to leave this now for approximately 4 to 5 more minutes. If in the process we keep an eye on it and you find that the water's going quite far down, just add a little dash of water to that again, but we're coming back to this in about 4 to 5 minutes time. Right, we've left this a bit longer than 5 minutes because there was still a lot of water, but you can see now, hopefully around the edges over there, the oil bubbling to the top. That's our indicator over here to let us know that this dish is pretty much ready now. One final ingredient we'll add into there is the fresh coriander. We'll mix it for a minute and then we can turn the gas off. Well, I'm taking it off heat by then and we'll be ready to serve this dish. So let's just pop that into there. There you go. Give it a right mix in there. And it's a lovely mix. Mix that in just for a minute or so. Then we'll take this saucepan off heat, and this dish is looking amazing. There you go, it's mixing nicely. Okay, time to, let's give it one more mix and it's time to switch this off. There we go, and I'm just going to take that off heat now, and we're done. Arguably, this is the best looking dish I've probably made. Let's hope it tastes as good. So time to get my parents' approval. Seal of approval met. For many more recipes, make sure you subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and I'll see you soon.